70 to 80% of teachers in this entire world falls into this category, and they will only teach their students the what and the how. Sometimes when we create online courses or any other kind of workshops, we face this difficulty that we want to give a lot of value to our clients, but we fail to give. They come to us to learn the what and the how, and we just deliver them what and the how. And when they go back home, they are not able to implement. This is a big problem for a lot of professional artists, especially the aspiring professional artist. So in this particular session, I'm going to explain you how to overcome that and why that problem is happening with you and how you can easily get out of it. Like we have 4 different seasons: winter, summer, spring, autumn. Exactly like that, we have got 4 different ways of parenting. We cannot use the same level of parenting for a small toddler and adult person. We have to be a different kind of parents. Exactly like that, there are 4 different levels of teaching for the 4 different levels of learning. So you all can take it down in your notebook. So the lowest level of teaching, which corresponds to the lowest level of learning, is called as tactics. Tactics are the what and the how. For example, I teach watercolors. Most of the people come to me and ask, Meeta, how can I paint a beautiful sky with watercolors without getting watercolor blooms? How I can paint clouds, leaves, pebbles, face, skin? So that is what and how. And every single person will come to you for learning only the what and the how. And this is the lowest level of teaching. 70 to 80% of teachers in this entire world falls into this category, and they will only teach their students the what and the how. When you only learn what and the how, you are not able to take decisions. Means if you are teaching your students the what and the how, your students will not be able to take decisions, and they will go in the world and they will say that you are not a good teacher. Why it is happening? Because this what and how is only the tactics, and it is incomplete way of learning. The entire YouTube, the entire websites are only filled with what and the how. Okay, the next level of teaching is strategies. That is the when and why. Now, if you want to become a better communicator, a better teacher, a better service provider, you not only have to give the tactics, that is the what and the how, but you also have to give the when and the why. You have to help your clients, your students, understand why they need to do something and when they need to do something. If they combine the when and the why and the what and the how, it is much easy for them to learn, and it is much easy for you to teach. But there are only 10% artists who are using strategies as well as tactics in their online courses. So for example, if a person is saying, ma'am, how can I paint skin? How can I paint water? How can I paint cloud with watercolors? So that is, they are coming for what and the how, right? Instead, if I say that whenever you see blurred shapes, you have to use wet on wet. Whenever you see crisp shapes, you have to use wet on dry. Whenever you see smooth color mixing with each other, slowly yellow is turning to blue or something like that, then you have to use gradient wash. If I tell them that this is the symptom, this is exactly when you will recognize the need, at that time you will use that particular tactic. Now my students are in a much better position to understand when to use which tactics and strategies. Are you getting my point? Say yes if you are getting my point. Now the next one is the principles. Have you ever noticed that whenever you teach your students, some students will say, "Ma'am, that student can do, but I can't, because that student has got inborn talent, but I don't have that." Some student will feel that they are slow learners, and some students will feel that they are fast learners. But if you want to give value to all of them and you want to make everyone learn something, you have to not only teach them the strategies and the tactics, but you also have to teach them the principles, and there is another level which I will come to you shortly. Okay, now what is principles? Principles are the laws that governs what? Governs the strategies and the tactics. You must be familiar with lot many principles. Each one of us have been taught principles. For example, law of gravity. Like for example, you all are sitting. Why you are sitting? Why you are not floating in the air? Because gravitational force is working on it. Exactly like that, I am not floating in the air because gravitational force is also working on me. Nobody will have doubt, because gravitational force works on every single people, every single object, every single thing. So exactly like that, there is law of inertia. What is law of inertia? An object at rest will remain at rest unless and until acted upon by an external opposite force. Law of momentum. An object in motion will remain in motion unless and until acted upon by an external opposite force. Exactly like that, there is law of polarity. Nothing in this world exists with a single side. Okay, that is law of polarity. Like good will have bad, win will have losers, light will have darkness, happiness, sadness, up, down, true, false, right? So it is a law. You cannot override that law. So when you explain your students based upon laws, and you explain that if one law is working on one student, the same law will work on another student. If your student understand that if a particular law is working on one student, the same law will work on another student, then they will not compare with each other. Then everyone will believe that they will 100% get the result if they implement the principles. Principles, if you want to become a very good communicator, if you want to become a very good teacher, if you want to serve your student at the highest level, then if you teach based upon principles and strategies and tactics, you will be one of the best out of best teachers. But that is not all. There is another level. This is the highest level, and this is called as essence. What is essence? Essence is the character, nature, and intention of the person. So have you ever noticed that no matter how much you teach, no matter how good you teach, no matter how hard you teach, no matter how many examples you give to your students, some students, some of your clients will always come up with an excuse. "Ma'am, I could not do the homework because my child was crying." You know, some silly excuses. Why they give those silly excuses? Because you are not teaching them the character, nature, and intention of the person who can get the results. Once you help them to understand what kind of person you need to become in order to get a particular result, you cannot teach them effectively. Once they understand that they have to become the right kind of person in order to do a particular thing, in order to get the result, they will not do it. So your maximum emphasis while teaching is to help your students become the right kind of person. So for example, when I teach watercolors to my students, when I started my course long time back in May 2019, some students used to do it nicely, and some students used to give me excuses. Some students used to tell me that, "Ma'am, you know, it was too dark. I had a power failure. There was no internet. I could not do it." And there are some examples like my student Madhuvanti. Even when she had COVID, she followed my instructions. She went on Facebook and she gave a Facebook Live. She was coughing, she had fever, she had no clue whether she's going to live or die, but she followed my instructions. Why? That is because there is a difference between how one student thinks and how another student thinks. I noted that. And then I included a few modules in my program which helped me to help my students become the right kind of person. I helped them to understand that if you want to get a specific result, if you want to paint like a professional artist, you don't only have to learn how to paint, you have to think how to paint, you have to see how to paint, you have to behave like a professional artist, you have to feel that you are a professional artist. Way before you are becoming a professional artist, you have to feel that you are a professional artist, you have to think like you are a professional artist, you have to visualize that you are a professional artist. And I helped them understand how to do that. And once they understood all the other things which I taught them, the principles, the strategies, the tactics, everything made sense. And then they started getting fabulous results. And I'm very sure if you implement that, you will too get the same results in your online courses or any other services.